Greetings, everyone. Master Grogan here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we're back again with another exciting episode, life-changing episode of the Grogan's Bullyproof and Kickin'Life podcast. And this is the Spotlight Show, and we've got a special guest here. Let me kind of quickly go over a quick bio, and then I'll let introduce you can see him right now. So if you know him, you know who he is. There he is, good-looking guy there. Well, he's a Christian, he's a husband, father, Ziglar Legacy Certified Coach and Trainer, extremely successful entrepreneur, and his company has grown to exceed more than 220 in-network companies, and he operates in 9 countries worldwide. He travels the world mentoring businesses and speaking at various conferences, growing microeconomics in business and encouraging business development worldwide. And just like all of us, he's had his shares ups and downs, because there is no such thing as all sunshine and rainbows or looking through those rose-colored glasses. You got to battle, you got to fight, you got to claw, you got to scratch, and most importantly, and what this podcast is all about, is you got to pick yourself back up, because not if, but when society pops you with the right hook of reality and drops you down, you got to get back up and fight another round, and that's what the Kickin'Life is all about. Well, who am I talking about? My Ziglar brother, who we actually went through the Ziglar certification together, Mr. AC Lockyer. How are we doing, sir?
Doing good, Rich. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, buddy. Happy to be in Florida and now Floridian with you, which is fan-terrific. So I tried to, condense all your amazing accolades down, but if there's anything I missed, please feel free to share those. And then most importantly, give a shout out to your wife and kids, because everybody loves hearing their name on the air. And this right now we're live streaming to our YouTube channel and our Facebook pages, but this will also air on all podcast apps on Monday. So if you want to subscribe to the podcast app, it's Grogan's Bullyproof, available worldwide. Please subscribe. And if we've earned it, give us that 5-star review. So AC, give some shout outs.
Yeah, so first of all, my wife, we call her the HRHIC, the head redhead in charge. That's Miss Karen. And I would not be where I'm at today without her, for sure. And then, of course, my kids, Lauren and AJ. Lauren's actually in the video game industry and works for a video game company called Queens and is kind of their director of talent development over there. And then our son, AJ, works on our business with us here at Soft Wash Systems and is doing well. And he graduated from Abilene Christian University with a business degree in marketing and is bringing that talent here to the business. But we've got great little business growing here, lots of family members working for the business, lots of families that work for our business that have their family members working for the business. And it's just been a really, really great run for us and for all of our businesses that we have worldwide.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. And of course, being a Christian there, we connected extremely well at the Ziglar Legacy Certified Training. And that was a couple years ago, and kind of cool. We grouped together in several different projects. I remember one in particular. We were building the bridge out of paper that had to support the water bottles. So It was kind of a take charge and who's gonna lead, who's gonna delegate, and who's gonna kind of follow and whatnot. And a couple of those things just really resonated in my mind as far as the leader that you are. And then we got to talking about your companies and everything else you're doing. And then later within the week there on Sunday, we actually went to the church that Zig Ziglar used to attend. So that was kind of a special memory and special moment. So with everything you're doing here, obviously it's amazing. And the fact that you got family, around you as your major support, which you can't do anything without the family, right? I know you mentioned the redhead in charge, your wife there. My wife is, was a brunette, but we moved to Florida here. She's a blonde now, which fits right in with the Florida lifestyle. But yeah, she's been my pillar of support all the way through all the ups and downs of, I've been bankrupt twice and had our house foreclosed on, cars repossessed, all the embarrassing things that I used to never talk about, but I talk about more openly now just to, one, be relatable and let others know that it is not all sunshine and rainbows. And one thing that I stress a lot, not only on the podcast here, but I've got a couple books coming out and then speeches and presentations I give, is you can't play the victim card because society wants you to play that and it wants to keep you down. And I don't understand why, But there was a mindset growing up that was well, that's just how it is. Well, that's just how it is. Well, I'm a firm believer, and I know you are as well, that that's not to utilize your God-given talents to be who you were born to be. And we're all unique in our own individual ways. I'll
That's
never
right.
be as, I tell kids all the time, I'll never be as cool as AC Lockyer. Well, he'll never be as cool as me either, because we're different in our own ways. But by utilizing our strengths and working together, kind of the high tide raises all boats, right? If we put our
And they
mindsets together.
may end up being cooler than us too, Rich. So
Well, let's hope so, right?
yeah,
Let's
let's hope
definitely hope
so.
so that they
Yes,
are.
no,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
with your
I've
business,
had a lot of those same ups and downs as well. I went broke completely down to my last $250 back in 2010. Got out of the cleaning business. Had a family business that I was doing with my father. Had a bad family business breakup. Left that and became a consultant, like a lot of people do when they have that life change. They go out and consult people, and then also too, then eventually got into putting people into the cleaning business, and that's what I do now. Is I've leveraged all of my talents and the things I'm very, very good at, which is helping other businesses grow, helping people grow, helping them with their leadership, helping them to be disciplined and execute their plan for their businesses, and let them own the business, and me just support them. And so in life we all find our sweet spot, and we move to that sweet spot. And really our journey is just a journey of self-realization, trying to figure out what we're truly good at, and then eventually settling down into that sweet spot.
that's fantastic. And well, of course, I want to give a shout out to all our friends jumping online. If you jump online, please say hi. And if you've got a question for myself or AC in regards to being an entrepreneur or a line of business or just anything that's on, we want to ask, please make sure you do so, because we're more than willing to do what we can to accommodate and answer those questions. So yeah, and that's the and for your line of business, was it a thing you had to go to school for, or was it it's kind of, I was looking over your bio there, and I want to make sure I get it right. It's kind of third generation, is that right?
Yeah, so I'm a third generation business entrepreneur. You have to forgive me. I'm probably going to sneeze at any moment. My allergies are driving me crazy. It's like,
Well,
oh,
and we were talking before we got on the air about this is my first. I've been in Florida since the end of July now. And I didn't realize allergies were this bad down here. I always had allergies in the Midwest, and growing up on a farm, and then fighting a lot. I've had my nose broke so many times that it just doesn't function properly. But yeah, I got a dose of those allergies, and actually got a sinus infection. So you can probably still hear it. And we were talking on air
yeah.
before we got on air here, and you'd mentioned that's typical down here in Florida, huh?
Yeah, stuff is still growing in January. So, this is spring, this is early spring for us. So a lot of plants are blooming, and there's, especially the orange trees right now, the orange blossoms, a lot of orange pollen in the air. But going back to what you were saying, yeah, I'm a third generation service business entrepreneur. My father owned service businesses. My grandfather owned service businesses. I just wanted to grow up and be a lead singer in a heavy metal rock and roll band, but that didn't quite work out for me. And ended up going into the service industry. I was at Abilene Christian University out in Abilene, Texas. I had found my cute little redhead that I talk about quite a bit in the new book, and how we met, and wanted to get married, wanted to start a life, got summarily kicked out of preaching school out in Abilene, Texas, moved back here to Orlando, Florida, and looked at my dad and said, "Hey, I want to start a business." And he said, "Well, the family painter had just got done pressure washing the house, getting it ready to paint it." He jumped up on the roof and pressure washed off the roof, and it made the roof look like brand new. My dad said, "Seems to me that would be a pretty cool little business to start." So I took all my little entrepreneurial juices and everything else, and I developed my model for my business and the process for cleaning the roofs, and went out there as an owner operator, one truck, and just scratched out a humble little living. The first year I did about $80,000 in total gross revenues. Put about 50% of that back in my pocket. The second year did about $85,000. The third year that jumped up to about $300,000. Fourth year jumped up to, by the time I hit the year 2000, started in 92, hit the year 2000, we were a $4.8 million per year, 36 truck company. And, and it's just incredible what you can do in this country. You don't have to have a college degree. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people to go to college that really don't need to go to college, and they should be focusing on a vocation and focusing on doing their best to their abilities and not falling into what I call the white collared movement, and falling into that whole lie that gets perpetuated to us. And I was able to, as a roof cleaner, become a multi-millionaire. And it's kind of fun when people ask me what I do for a living and I'm at some fundraiser or party and they think, look at this guy, I wonder what he does for a living. And they ask me and I go, oh, I'm a roof cleaner. And it makes a great conversation.
That is fantastic. And that's something that I spoke with, a few podcasts ago. By the way, I forgot to even say this is episode number 291 of our podcast. So if you haven't subscribed, and make sure you listen into some of the other ones. We've had some great guests, and as we move forward, but that is a topic we bring up a lot I call it the college trap, because not everybody is meant to go to college. I grew up on a farm, being a farm boy. I was actually the first one in my family. My mom graduated high school, but that was as far as it got. And I toyed around with in and out of college, and actually I failed out of a junior college. But I ended up going back. It took me 10 years to get a 2-year degree and then 2 years to get a 4-year degree. You can kind of figure that out. But it was in kinesiology. The study of human movement was finally something I really enjoyed.
My brother-in-law has that degree.
And I taught PE for 11 years, but it really helped out really with what I did, being a personal trainer, a martial artist, aerobic instructor, and everything else I was kind of wrapping up in there. So it was fantastic. And I loved sports, so PE was right there. But I tell kids all the time, and my oldest son, he's 21 now, but he's not in college anywhere. But when he was graduating, I remember everybody saying, "Hey, Austin, where are you going to college? Where are you going to college?" And it was almost like we had to explain why he wasn't going to college, because he was working with our business. And he's incredible, not only incredible instructor with the Martial Arts Academy, but he took a couple program director courses, and fantastic. Now, he's moved with us down here to Florida, and he's kind of doing his own thing now. He's actually working for a butcher, and he's learning kind of behind the scenes of the meat market industry, and he's really enjoying that. And really, he has no desire to go to college. But I bring that up because it's often we felt like we had to explain why he wasn't going to college, while I was showing him the entrepreneur side of business, and he was learning far more. So those out there, parents that are listening, not every kid is made to go to college, and that's okay. And don't feel guilty about that. I read something the other day, which was, I think it was Elon Musk, but it could have been someone else. He said it's a crying shame that kids can rack up $100,000 in college debt, but can't get a $10,000 loan to start a business.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're exactly right there. And doing right now, am I using my college degree? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's a piece of paper on the wall, but to be honest with you, for what it cost, I'm not so sure I got a good return on my investment. But college is for some folks, and that's fine. But I'm glad you're on here talking about what you've done to just kind of work hard and make a living in something that you're good at, you enjoy, without having that college degree.
Yeah. So, I've got a new book coming out next month, and it's the 5 Keys to Pattern Success. We're already starting to work on the next book, which is called White Collared. And of course, that book is all about the failure, the diploma mills, and the death of entrepreneurialism in the United States of America. And so it's going to be a very, very controversial book. You can already tell by the title, White Collared. And it's not a book about cooking albino greens, but white collar, you get it. But it is talking about, I want to have almost that little bit of symbolism of slavery, and that we go to college and we get these degrees and we go and we pursue this job and we have all this debt. And all we've done is turned ourselves into indentured servants to this entire diploma mill that's been created in this country, so that we can go out and get these white collar jobs, and we become white collared. The book that's coming out next month is the 5 Keys to Pattern Success. And that whole book is on my 5 keys, which I've developed in my life for all of the personal victories and business success that I've had in my life, and sharing that business system with everybody out there in the world so that they can have great success in their life. And it's all of my books are really to get people to look at becoming an entrepreneur and owning your own business and developing your skills and talents, so that you can have the ultimate freedom of not only building a business that's your asset, that you can have the time you want, spend the time with your family, go out and do the vacations you want, but also too, you're building something that has value in it for yourself, not for somebody else. And that one day, possibly, you can build that up. It can give you a great career, give you a great lifestyle business. But then when you're ready to retire, turn around and sell that for way more than you could ever amass in just maxing out your 401k every year, like we've all been told to do through this white-collared culture that we have.
Oh, that's fantastic. And essentially, that's the essence of, and I consider anything when you're not utilizing your God-given talents, or you're not pursuing what you were put on this earth to do, as a sense of selling yourself short, bullying yourself, because you're not living the life because out of fear, out of limiting beliefs. And then, of course, the pinnacle is that kicking life. And kicking life, it has something to do with martial arts, but it's all about kicking life's butt. Instead of life continuously kicking your butt, now you're kicking life's butt because you're living it on your terms. And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy by any means. But I want to touch on your book in just a minute here. But the essence of not falling into that trap of just doing what everybody else does. I call it that proverbial round hole. And it's kind of like the crabs in the bucket story. You know, everybody's in there in the bucket, and everybody wants to, hey, I'd like to move out. I'd like to do something different. But the fear, the limiting beliefs, because someone along the way told them, and I'm living proof here, Richie, you're not big enough. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You're just not going to make it. You're just going to be blue collar your whole life. And there's nothing wrong with blue collar. Man, that work ethic of the farm is what drove me to want to do more.
Nothing's more blue collar than roof cleaning. You know what I'm saying? And you can be a multimillionaire roof cleaning.
Yep.
Plumber, and air conditioning.
It was exactly my point there. And there's nothing wrong with that. So my whole point was don't get caught up on the label of just, I thought, well, all right, I guess when blue collar, well, that's hard work. Yes. But what about those white collar guys? And I didn't know any different, but all I knew was, to me, it was a derogatory term. And it's a blessing to have you on here cleaning roofs, for crying out loud, cleaning your driveways and concrete slabs and everything else. Yeah. And I did, well, obviously on the farm, shoveling horse poop, baling hay. And then I worked construction for a while, drain tile, in basements, jackhammering it up and then laying the drain tile. All in that. My father-in-law had the business, and it was blue collar, but he did extremely well.
That's
so
right.
The fact, I had no idea about your book coming out, the white collared. So essentially, that's another way that folks tend to bully themselves. And I know I bullied myself in the past, was those doggone labels of thinking you want to do something else because of whatever reason, but getting stuck in that proverbial round hole and too afraid to move forward. And then, of course, who you surround yourself with is who you become. And that's why I'm so blessed to not only know you, but meeting Tom Ziglar and becoming friends with Tom Ziglar, and Chris Widener is a good personal friend. And just that influences, it's a different way of thinking to get you out of that crabs in a bucket scenario.
It absolutely is. And also, too, one of the things that we focus on here is self-differentiating and making sure that you create a situation in your life where you're not blending in with the herd, that you're self-differentiating, that you stand for something, number one. Number two, you don't get pulled down by the other crabs in the bucket. Number three, that you're really watching your actions and your influence that you have over other people. When you talk about bully-proofing somebody, one of the best ways to bully-proof yourself is to self-differentiate. And to not let yourself get pulled down by all the people around you, and to rise above, and people will be jealous and people will target you, and you'll always have those haters out there. But they do it out of jealousy. They don't do it out of dominating. They're not trying to dominate over you. They do it out of jealousy. So if you're being attacked out there, like let's say, you train a lot of kids, you bring them into your martial arts program, and you teach them how to have self-respect, how to self-differentiate, how to have a presence about them that makes them bully-proof. Bully-proof. I want to say bulletproof, but it's bully-proof. And that self-differentiation is so huge with that, and not letting people label you or not following those labels is huge.
Oh, Fantastic. I need to have you do my next commercial. That was great. But yeah, the bulletproof or bullyproof came from that. It's like I'm Teflon now. I can stand up to this. All the arrows of negativity, and our two most vulnerable parts are our heart and our mind, right? And that's where bullies attack, and that's where we attack ourselves as well. Someone planted that seed once again. In third grade, I was told I wasn't a very good reader, so my whole life I thought I wasn't a very good reader. I let that seed grow into something that it wasn't until I dug that thing up. But let's get back to the book, the five levels or five layers, or
Five keys.
five
Yeah.
keys. Now it should have been easy enough to remember. And tell me about tell us about the five keys. Uh-oh. The Florida allergies. There it
Oh,
is.
excuse me.
Bless you. And again,
Oh,
we got two. Maybe we'll get
I
five
forgot to hit the
sneezes.
sneeze button. I'm sorry.
Five sneezes to go
So,
along with the five keys.
yeah. So what I do is it's a very, very simple system. I like to pull up somebody's hand and, we'll literally put a hand on a piece of paper. And in the book, each section of the book starts with the hand. And basically it's number one, you want to be deliberate. Okay. That's having goals. That's having dreams. That's putting together a business plan. That's putting together, that outline on how you're going to succeed with something. You have to be deliberate. You have to make a plan. And then, then you have to execute that plan. And that's where a lot of people get hung up. When you look at your hand right here, okay, right here, the biggest gap between all of your fingers and your thumb is right between your index finger and your thumb. And that is what's called, what I found out from Howard Partridge. I didn't know what to call it before. I didn't know it had a name. I knew that was the hardest leap, going from being deliberate to actually executing. I found out from Howard Partridge that that's called failure to implement. Okay. And a lot of people suffer from FTI, or failure to implement. You get a lot of people that in your life that always will talk about their next get rich quick scheme, always talk about their plans and their goals and all their stuff. And it's just chick, 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 chick. They're always talking about it, but they never move off the blocks. They never really go out and accomplish anything in their lives. And that's because they've got FTI. They got failure to implement disease. So be deliberate, execute. Once you execute, what you want to do is you want to come in and analyze everything you do, whether it's advertising, whether it's dating. Okay, I met my redhead because a bunch of guys in my dorm bet me I couldn't date every redhead in the school in one semester. So we put together a list of redheads, and I started dating. And it's in the book. I tell the whole story about this. And you'll be crying and laughing, and it's a very emotional book when you read it. But when you look at, then I had to date all those girls. I had to go back and analyze, which ones I liked, which ones I didn't, which ones had great personalities, which ones I could envision spending the rest of my life with. But I put together the list. I started dating girls on the list. I analyzed the girls I had dated on that list. Then finally, you come to replicate. And replicate is where you do more of the victorious stuff and you prune away the losses. So like if it's in advertising, a lot of people like to advertise their companies, and they never sit there and they come and analyze what advertising's bringing them a return. So they never prune away the advertising that's not working and promote the advertising that is. Well, a big key is then getting to that phase that once you analyze, you take all the things that are winning and you put more effort, more money, more time behind the things that are working and winning, and you replicate those. You do more of the good stuff. Then finally, once you know you can replicate something, then you move on to systemization. And you take those replicating things, you put systems behind them so that they can self-replicate. So again, you got be deliberate, okay, execute, analyze, replicate, systemize. And in the book, I go through all five of those sections. All five of those sections have 3 chapters each. I go in and I tell, we go through the definition of each one of those. We go in and I tell you a personal story in my life that relates to that be deliberate, execute, analyze, replicate, or systemize. And then I give you a business system that I developed for my businesses that gives you a system that you can put immediately to work in your business that will start to bring you great success in your business. So the whole book is about 20 chapters, and it goes through those 5 keys to powering success. And in each one of those sections, you hear my life story. So the book is somewhat autobiographical, and you get to hear some of my life story in there. But it's a great book because a lot of people look at my life. I mean, I've been a national champion fisherman. I've been in rock and roll bands. I've had a lot of success in my life. I've owned several multi-million-dollar businesses. I had my first multi-million-dollar business by the time I was 30 years old. People are like, AC, how do you do that? How do you win so much in life? Well, you have to have a tremendous blessing from God. But blessings from God only come when you use your God-given talents that have been given to you, and you actually invest in them and bring a replication or you reap a harvest back like Matthew 25 talks about. Then God starts to bless those things. But you do have to have a system to follow. And these 5 keys to powering success gives anybody that reads this book the exact system I use in my life every day to create millions of dollars in revenues, great interpersonal relationships, win incredible bucket list things like becoming the IFA Redfish Tour National Championship my rookie season. All of those things, when people look at that stuff, I'm giving you that exact formula that I used in my life in that book.
Boom. Mic drop. We're done. That was fantastic, AC. Thank you for sharing that. So next question, of course, your book is available on Amazon, and I know you do speaking. And maybe when we're done with this, if you would go online there where I've tagged you for this podcast and live stream, just put your information so people can find direct access. And people don't like to click around. So if you got a direct link right to either your website or right to Amazon or wherever the book's available, please feel free to put that on there so people can reach out to you and get those messages. So is it available on Amazon, the book?
The book will be available on Amazon March 1st.
Okay.
And so we're just right now
there.
promoting the book, getting out there in front of people so that when March 1st comes, they can go ahead and order the book, and it'll be available on Amazon. And then, as you mentioned, I do public speaking all across the country. I go to a lot of blue collar industry conventions. That's really what I frequent. A lot of service business type conventions. So plumbers, air conditioning, pressure washing, pest control. You'll see me at a lot of those conventions, and you can come hear me as I keynote at those conventions. But also, too, I'll make sure I'll have some books there, and you can stop by the author's table. I'll be happy to personally sign those books for anybody that comes by.
Fantastic. And I really like what you'd said about utilizing. That's something that I talk about all the time. And it's just, you surround yourself with the right group of people, you say the same thing. And that is utilizing your God-given talents. We're all unique. There's 7.7 billion people on the planet now. But there's no replicas. We're all unique in our own way.
All unique.
I've always kind of laugh because as a kid, people would say, Richie, they broke the mold when they made you. That was a pop shot at me. And I was like, why are you going to pick on me? Now I'm like, no, yeah, you're right. They broke the mold. And that's a good thing. They broke the mold when they made you. They broke the mold when they made everybody, because God was making each person unique. And then oftentimes we get caught up thinking, well, gosh darn, if I had AC's life, or if I could be like AC, then things would be different. Or if I had $1 million, then things would be different. Well, no, it wouldn't, because and Jim Rome talks about this a lot, he pities the person who gets $1 million before they become a millionaire, because they won't know how to use it, won't know how to spend it. And what is it, 85, 90% of people that win the lottery within 3 to 5 years are back to where they were or worse, because it's what you learn to live with. And then Jim Rohn also had mentioned, even if I lost it, he knows the formula to build it back up again. And that's kind of what you're talking about here is learning.
Yeah, and when you talk about too, a lot of people, in this society especially, our society is trashed right now. It is unbelievable how much people have bought into the lies that are being perpetuated in our society right now. And the victim mentality is just eroding the fabric of our country. And this victim mentality, I've been a victim. In chapter 18 of the book, my new book, The 5 Keys to Patterning Success, in chapter 18, I tell my story through the lens of all of my failures and through my struggles and through my insecurities. And I take that whole chapter 18, because people are going to say, but AC, I just read this book, and AC, you're a freak of nature. I could never do what you do, AC. And I say, no, stop. You can. Because let me tell you my story through the lens of my failures, through the lens of my inadequacies, but through the lens of my insecurities. And so I retell my story. And when you read this version of my story, you go, my gosh, how did this guy ever do this? I mean, he had so much going against him, and he had issues and problems, and he was a victim, and had bullying, and got beat up and molested, and all the things that they're like, I never realized that happened to you, AC. And I'm like, because I didn't let it define me. I moved on from it. I said that was a bad experience, but that bad experience ended that day. And I moved on from it, and I focused on the victorious stuff, and I replicated the victorious stuff, and I didn't let myself become a victim. I led a victorious life, not a victim's life.
Victim life. No, and we always have two choices, and I talk about this a lot. Every day we're working on one or two muscles. Our perseverance muscles. Every time life knocks us down, it's not a matter if, but when, are we going to get back up? And every time we get back up, we strengthen that foundation and strengthen our perseverance, strengthen our resolve, strengthen those perseverance muscles. Or we decide to lay there and play the victim card. Why is life so tough? Why has life beat me up? And you can ask those questions. I mean, it pops in your mind, but as soon as it's like a weed, dig that thing up as soon as it pops up. Because once again, one or two muscles, our give up and quit muscles, play the victim card, or our perseverance muscles and play the victorious card. It's a choice. It's not easy, but nothing in life is easy. And as Rocky says, nothing hits harder than life. It's a mean, nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. And it will. But you got.
Well, one of the quotes that I have, kind of one of the quotes that I'm known for, the people that have been following me for years, is nothing admirable is ever easily accomplished, and success rarely goes uncriticized. So you got to push forward, because I get especially Christians. Can I rag on Christians for a minute, since I am one?
Absolutely.
Can we go ahead and rag on Christians? Okay. I love Christians, because Christians are like, well, it's just kind of tough. I don't think it's the Lord's will, or they'll come along and they'll say, well, if you've got people that are strife with you, all Christians should live at peace with everybody on this earth, and I just want to be the kind of person that everybody likes and loves and respects. Man, let me tell you something. That's a big bugaboo with me. Is, first of all, if you live at peace with everybody and there's nobody that doesn't like you, that means you're marginalized. That means you don't stand for anything. Okay. And then Satan only attacks people that God has big plans for, because he wants to marginalize you. He wants to get you off the field. He wants to make sure God can't use you for a tool for his will and purpose. But what drives me crazy the most about Christians, well, Rich, I'm just waiting for God to open a door for me. And I'm like, God's over here waiting for you to get off your ass and use your 2 feet and walk through the 5 doors he's got open in front of you. Because Christians just like, I'm just waiting to hear the will of the Lord. Man, just read the Bible. The will of the Lord is in the Bible. God wants us to live a victorious life. You look at Matthew 25, he gave to the 3 servants the bags of gold based on what their capabilities were. So one got 1 bag of gold, one got 2 bags of gold, one got 4 bags of gold. And the ones that had the 2 bags of gold and the 4 bags of gold went and used those talents and replicated them. So I get my whole replication concept. And the one that had 2 bags of gold brought back 4 to the master. One that had 4 brought back 8 to the master. But the one that had 1, this is where our society is, he went and hid it in the ground. And he brought it back to the master. When the master came back, he said, look, I didn't screw up. Here's your 1 bag of gold. I didn't scratch it. I didn't lose it. I didn't screw it up. Here, I brought you back exactly what you expected from me. I didn't mess up. And Matthew 25 says the master took that bag of gold away from him, gave it to the one that had 8. And he said, take this wicked, evil servant and send him where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. The servant did good. Think about it. He didn't invest it and lose the money. He brought back the master exactly what he gave him. He kept it safe. He took care of it. He didn't get a scratch on it. He thought he was doing a good job. But what the master wants in our lives, what God wants in our lives, is for us to live a victorious life and for us to bring a harvest, to bring replication, to take what he's given us and turn it into more and bless more people. Our entire society right now is built around burying that bag of gold in the ground and not screwing up. Everybody's goal in life right now is to not screw up, not fumble the ball, not live victoriously. And being a Christian business person, the way we were designed, Zig Ziglar said that we were all designed for accomplishment, okay? Endured and endowed with the seeds of greatness. That God designed us to go out and do incredible things, to live a victorious life, to bring replication to the things he gave us. And that's what we've got to do. We can't just bury our talents or our bags of gold, the things that God entrusted us to, in the ground. But God is a fair God. He gives to some one bag of gold, to some two, to some four, based on their abilities. All God wants us to do, he understands that everybody's different. And not everybody is an AC Lockyer or Rich Grogan, okay? Not everybody's an Elon Musk. But everybody's been given what God knows their abilities are. And for you to not take what God gave you and bring a harvest to it, bring a replication to it, to invest it and bring more, to invest it in other people's lives, is a slap in the face of God.
Oh my gosh. Praise you, AC. That fantastic. I've said something similar, but not quite as well, and quoted the scripture as well as you did there. But no, and be honest with you, I've read that scripture many times, and I've actually heard it presented many times, but never as deep as kind of what you'd said. And one thing I've said for a long, long time, my wife always gets on me because I compare everything to being bullied, because it was something that was part of my life, and I played the victim card because, and I say now, I used to say, man, I was bullied. Well, I was, but I was only bullied because I allowed it to happen, because I never did anything about it. Well, the same thing here. And I've been saying a lot lately is when we don't utilize our God-given talents, we're essentially smacking God in the face, saying, no, God, you don't understand my life. No, you don't understand this. Well, I would if I had what AC has. No, but God, you didn't give me these blessings. It's like we're telling God, the creator of us, what he did wrong with us, as opposed to saying, and it's a smack in the face. So, and I know I really sometimes go off deep, but it really piggybacks on what you had said on our judgment day. When God is there and he says, what did you do with the talents I gave you? Now, I've got enough sins to condone for. I don't want to say that I didn't utilize my talents that you gave me to the best of my abilities to empower people. It's kind of my mission, to empower people with hope and self-confidence, to believe in themselves, to stand up to any bully they face, both real in their mind, and most importantly, to think for yourself. When things don't feel right, they don't look right, they don't smell right, they don't taste right, they're not right. And that's a big thing of going on in society today. Things aren't right, and we're allowing it to happen, because I saw a post the other day about Jesus today and Jesus in the Bible, and it was kind of a side-by-side comparison. And one was, yes, we should love everybody, but it's more or less on the victim mindset here. On this one was with God and his vengeance, will not utilizing your God-given talents and being who you were born to be and doing your very best. Or like you had said, I'm afraid to do anything with what I got, so I'm going to bury my talents at the risk of somebody making fun of me, at the risk of somebody being upset with me, at the risk of somebody being. And what did Aristotle say? The only way to avoid criticism is to be nothing, do nothing, and say nothing. But essentially, then you are nothing, right? And that's a big one. Well, and I posted, this was a few weeks ago, it's a person leaning on a shovel, and it said, yeah, God said he'll give you the blessings, but you got to dig the darn hole. You can't just lean on the shovel. And that's kind of back to the Jim Rome philosophy, or even Zig Ziglar would say, you can't stand at the stove and say, give me heat, and then I'll give you wood. You can't stand at the field and say, give me crops, and then I'll plant the seed. No, it's backwards. You plant the seed, you do the work, you dig up the weeds, and you fertilize it, and you nurture it, and then it grows. Or maybe it doesn't, but do you give up? No, you battle back through. But that's back to the perseverance or the give up and quit muscles. Man, that's fantastic, buddy. Good stuff. And
Thank
those
you.
that are just joining us, Mr. AC Lockyer, he's a Christian, he's a father, a husband, extremely successful entrepreneur, and he's talking about all his ups and downs that he's went through just like everybody else. And oftentimes we get people saying, yeah, well, back to the old, you don't understand my life. No, I don't, but you don't understand the struggles that all of us have went through either, but you can make a choice to play that victim card or play that victorious card. And AC's got a brand new book coming out in March, the 5 keys to his success, and he spells it out in everything he's done in his life. And I think the biggest one, I'll get the hand up here, is jumping from the first step to the second step, and where
Yeah,
most
being
people
deliberate
fail,
to execute. That's
being
always the
deliberate to
hardest
execute,
one.
because it's the biggest gap. And as Howard Partridge talks about, that failure to implement, right? The
Yeah.
FTI, and he's got a great book on that as well. I give a similar speech about the fist, and I talk about collectively unit. Yeah, this is strength, this is power, this is justice, this is honor, and this can do a lot of good to stop evil, to combat bullying. But individuals, they fail. We have to work together and unify. And that's where like-minded people working together. I gave a little presentation not too terribly long ago at an event, and it was all about, look, if I throw a pebble and you throw a pebble and everybody in here individually throws pebbles in the pond, yeah, we're creating ripples, which is a good thing. We're doing something. But if collectively as a fist, we all massively work together and pick up this massive boulder and throw it in, we're not creating a ripple, man. We're flooding the banks. And that's
right.
where, Christians need to remind other Christians, look, don't sit there and say, well, I'm just wait. I'm glad you said that, because it's one of my biggest pet peeves too, because I'll talk to a lot of wannabe entrepreneurs online, and they'll say, well, I'm just waiting on God to tell me what to do. And I'll say, what are you doing to show God that you're worthy of this? Oh, well, he'll tell
Right.
me. He'll tell me. No, it's sort of like the old flood thing. The flood's coming, and somebody comes and says, hey, man, the flood's coming. Hop in the car. We're going to go to safety. No, God's going to save me. And the water gets up to the second floor, and the boat comes along, and the person says, man, hop in the boat here. It's flooding. You're going to drown. No, God's going to save me. Well, next, they're on the roof. The water's got up to the roof level, and the helicopter comes, and the guy throws down a rope and says, get on here. You're going to drown. He goes, no, God's going to save me. Well, the guy ends up drowning, gets to heaven, and says, God, I told everybody you're going to save me. And he goes, look, I sent a car, sent a boat, sent a helicopter. You have to take action, and you didn't. And it's similar to the story you mentioned about not taking action, but burying your treasures, burying your gold, burying your talents, and not doing anything with them. And sooner or later, we are going to be accountable to God. And I know that I've been broke before, and I've had money before, and fortunate and blessed that we're financially doing better than we've ever done in our life mefore, and that enabled us to move to Florida. But I do know what I'm able to do now is I'm able to give a heck of a lot more to my 2 foundations. I give to a lot of foundations, but the 2, and I give shout outs all the time, is the Tim Tebow Foundation, the TTF. What he does is absolutely amazing. And then St. Jude's Children's Miracle Network. Before, you can't give what you don't have. You can't pour from an empty cup. If I can't pay my own bills, I sure as heck can't give to charities as much as I want to. But now I'm in a place where I can give a heck of a lot more. And I know those 2 charities are doing wonderful, wonderful things with those resources.
And something, so many people out there want to demonize business owners or demonize corporations. And, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and my daughter is probably a little more liberal than I am. She was talking about big major corporations, and, corporations are throughout the world and everything else. And I had to remind her, I had to say, honey, your dad does own a multinational conglomerate, which it's a bad word. Multinational conglomerate is like a bad word to people nowadays. What they don't realize is a lot of Christians say, well, I don't want to be one of those rich people. God uses rich people. Not everybody can handle wealth, but those who can handle wealth and can be a conduit for God blessing other people. If you don't do that, and that was one of the bags of gold that God gave you, you had the ability to do that, and you didn't honor that, that's like burying that bag of gold in the ground. And you're going to hear, send him where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, not well done, good and faithful servant. So some of us, we need to just own, if we have the ability to make money and donate to causes and support missionaries and take care of foundations and create jobs, you need to own that and make that happen and be that person and live that out loud. Now I'm excited for the fact that we've given nearly $250,000 to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation over the last 5 years through the FBC Mortgage Cure Bowl, which is a college football bowl game that's played here in Orlando, Florida. We hooked up with that. We're a sponsor of that. And every year we raise money for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. And we're excited to do that. And I love the fact that we were able to give them thousands of dollars every year and bless that organization when some can't. That's God has given me that talent, that ability to do that. And if I didn't do it, it would be shame on me.
Oh, 1000%, 1000%. And what's sad is you've got, well, you've got some of the multi-elite billionaires, and I don't know what they did to make their money, and that's fine. If they've earned it honestly, then, God bless them. But unfortunately, the ones that aren't as honest as we should be and maybe aren't doing what they should be, and who am I to judge, but they get all the recognition. So everybody else that's successful falls under that cloud. Well, I challenge people. I think there's far more or far less wealthy people that are evil, and there's far more people that don't have money that have ill intentions. And like you said, God gives people what they can handle, what they can deserve. But unfortunately, that was, and I grew up kind of that way, thinking that the anybody that made $1 million was a bad guy. I mean, because we were dirt poor on government cheese, and we had a milk cow and all those things. But then as we got older and realized, wait a minute, the kind of and I don't say we've been lied to, but weren't asking the right questions. And started asking the right questions, become an entrepreneur, and knowing I can do a lot more with having something than I can without having anything. But it's what you do with that, if you're giving back. And people can do whatever they want to do. I just know that the more I give, the more I seem to bring in. Not only does it make me feel good about what I'm doing to help out, but it also inspires and motivates me to work harder so I can make more to give to those charities and give to those organizations. And that kind of wraps up, the bully proof. I've overcome those fears of limiting beliefs of thinking I wasn't good enough, wasn't strong enough, and people that make money are bad. I was bullying myself. And now working toward living that kickin' life. That kickin' life is not only kicking lives, but I'm kicking life. I'm kicking the negative mindsets out of my life and empowering others by utilizing my God-given talents to empower them to live their best kickin' life. And that's kind of where our whole Grogan's Bullyproof and Kickin' Life podcast brand and everything else comes from, is that very essence of not playing the victim, but overcoming those fears. And then what are you doing to help out others with your talents, not just burying. I love that. I'm going to keep using that, burying your talents in because you're afraid of what might be said or what might happen to you. Fantastic. Well, this has been good, buddy. Have you had a good time?
Thanks. Appreciate you, man.
You had a good time on the show?
Oh, yeah. No, I love this kind of stuff. My goal in life is to just reach and have influence over as many people as I possibly can so they can realize their life's goals and dreams. And, I just want to leave this earth completely wrung out, used up, nothing left to give.
And you're well on your way. Well, folks, Mr. A.C. Lockyer, look him up. He's got a great book coming out in March. I can't wait to buy it and read it myself. And just a little quick update on my book, Becoming Bullyproof, me as a 12-year-old, meeting me as Master Grogan 40 years later, and going on a journey together where the older me is teaching the younger me everything I wish I would have known. We just finished proof edit, and we're doing interior design right now. So we're looking at a February release date, possibly March, but I'll keep you updated on that. And I'm excited as heck about that as well. Well, AC, God bless you, brother. Thank you so very, very much. And now that we're both in Florida here, we'll have to plan a time on our schedules to meet halfway or something. I think Orlando's about 2 hours from where I'm at, and grab some lunch and catch up. But I can't thank you enough for your time. The wisdom and insight that you left with our listeners is priceless. And I know they're very, very, very grateful for that. Thank you very, very much. And remember,
appreciate you and what you do, Rich.
Oh, thank you, buddy. That touches my heart. Remember to go on when we're done here and put your information in so people can follow you and find your book and everything. So good stuff. All right. Well, folks, that's a wrap. We had Mr. A.C. Lockyer on. Fantastic as always. And I can't thank you enough for tuning in. And we've been doing this live stream thing. This is our second live stream / podcast that we're doing. We're live streaming to our Grogan's Bullyproof YouTube channel, Grogan's Bullyproof and Kickin'Life Facebook page, and also my personal page. And this podcast, if you're just listening to it on the podcast app, and actually you're listening on a Monday, it'll air on Monday as the Spotlight show. But make sure you tune in on the Thursday when we record this live, and therefore you can tune in and ask questions along the way here and put a face with the voice when you see us here. So, but thank you very much. If you think we've earned it, Please give us that 5-star review, especially on the podcast app. That helps our ratings get up there a little bit higher so people can find our podcast quicker when they do a search. It's Grogan's Bullyproof. Real easy. You type in, you get Grogan in, it's going to pop up. And share this with somebody else. And that's how we continue to build our tribe. And our tribe is all about empowering one another to live that best kick in life by becoming bullyproof to make our society a happier, healthier, and safer place to live. All right, folks, I love you. God loves you. AC loves you. Please share that love of the world. And until we talk again, you get out there and do your best. And I promise you'll be your very best. You'll become bullyproof and you'll live your best kick in life. God bless everybody. Can't wait to read your comments. Can't wait to chat again real soon. AC, I love you, brother. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.